He wanted to drug me, to break me, to chain me to him with the one thing in Omega in this world is taught to fear and desire in equal measure. And the most terrifying part, his plan was working. A sinister, unnatural heat was coiling in my gut, a fire ignited not by passion, but by poison, spreading through my veins like a creeping sickness. The man across the table, my fiancé copyright Leo, watched me with a triumphant smirk. "What are yours trades wrong, Lucas?" He purred, his voice a venomous caress. Feeling a little warm, this wasn't how my story was supposed to end. Not again. I had woken up in this world, trapped in the body of a villain destined for ruin, and I had fought tooth and nail to rewrite my fate. I had escaped his bed, defied his friends, and broken his pride. But now, cornered and drugged, with the ghost of a tragic past breathing down my neck, I wondered if I had only managed to delay the inevitable. My journey here began in a moment of pure, unadulterated panic. I found myself, not in my own reality, but thrust into the pages of a popular Alpha Beta Omega novel, inhabiting the body of its most despised character Lucas, the vicious, obsessive male supporting character. This Lucas was the childhood friend and betrothed of the story's main protagonist, an alpha named Leo. He was a caricature of jealousy, a love-struck fool whose entire existence revolved around tormenting the true object of Leo's affections, an Omega named Michael. And I had awakened at the precise moment of his most catastrophic mistake. The original script for this evening was a tragedy of my own character's making. Blinded by fear that Michael would steal Leo away, he'd ingested a powerful heat inducer, planning to sneak into Leo's bed, force a union, and then falsely accuse Michael of setting the whole thing up. It was a pathetic, desperate scheme, but I, possessing the knowledge of the entire plot, knew the horrifying truth. Leo wouldn't be the one to arrive. Instead, one of Leo's cruel alpha brothers would find the vulnerable Omega in his bed. That encounter wouldn't be one of passion, but of violation. The original Lucas would be drugged with an unknown substance, filmed in his degradation, and utterly humiliated. When a desperate plea for help finally reached Leo, his response would be the final nail in the coffin, a casual dismissal that sealed Lucas's fate. "He's just a low-class Omega. If you like him, you can have him." That singular moment of callousness was the catalyst that plunged the original Lucas into an abyss of darkness, sparking a self-destructive crusade of revenge that targeted everyone, especially the innocent Michael. It was a path that led to him being disowned by his own family, cast out onto the streets, and ultimately meeting a gruesome end at the hands of a beggar. A truly miserable end for a character whose only crime, initially, was loving the wrong person. And now I was him. The drug was already coursing through me, a treacherous warmth spreading from my core. I was clad in nothing but a thin, white shirt, already clinging to my skin with a sheen of sweat. I was crawling on the plush carpet of Leo's grand bedroom, the world tilting around me. A wave of feverish heat washed over me, and I instinctively clutched the gland at the back of my neck, the epicenter of an Omega's vulnerability. I had to escape, now. But as I struggled to my feet, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from the hallway. My heart seized in my chest. In the suffocating darkness, I saw the doorknob turn. Without a second thought, I launched myself toward the window, throwing it open and tumbling out into the night. Luck, for once, was on my side. It was a ground-floor room. My legs were bruised but not broken. But I was far from safe. An Omega in the throes of an artificially induced heat was a beacon for trouble, a walking invitation for disaster. My mind raced, sifting through the novel's plot for a sanctuary. There was only one place, one person, who would be safe. The bedroom of the protagonist's love interest, Michael. According to the story, Michael was a guest in the Chen family mansion for Leo's birthday celebration. Tonight was supposed to be the night of the classic copyright romance trope. Leo, intending to visit Michael, would accidentally enter the wrong room and find a drugged Omega waiting for him. Except I had flipped the script. Now it was my turn to enter the wrong room, but for a very different reason. I fumbled my way to his guest room, my body trembling with a mixture of drug-induced fever and adrenaline. I slipped inside and bolted the door behind me. My apology was a silent one. Sorry, Michael. I just need to borrow your boyfriend's intended target for the night. An emergency loan, I promise. He was exactly as the book described him. Michael, the cold and untouchable beauty, lay sleeping in the moonlight. His skin was pale, ethereal, like a rare flower blooming in the dead of winter. But as I drew closer, his eyes snapped open. There was no sleepiness in them, only a sharp, immediate disgust and a startling vigilance. Then his gaze focused on me, and a slow, lazy smile spread across his lips, transforming his features. It was a look of pure amusement. Of course, in his eyes, I was just a pathetic amateur, a joke of a rival who posed no threat. He was probably laughing at the depths of my degradation, stooping so low as to climb into another man's bed for the sake of an alpha who would never love me back. He opened his mouth to speak, but I couldn't let him make a sound. I lunged forward, clapping a hand over his mouth and, in a moment of desperate inspiration, leaned down and bit the sensitive gland on his neck. It was more of a hard nip than a true bite, but the message was clear. Make a sound and see what happens, I threatened in a harsh whisper, my voice ragged. To my utter astonishment, the man beneath me didn't struggle. Instead, a low, soft chuckle vibrated through his chest. He immediately relaxed, tilting his head to the side, exposing the long, elegant column of his throat and the very gland I was threatening. His voice, when he spoke around my hand, was a deep, husky murmur that sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. Go on, brother, he purred, the sound impossibly alluring. Bite. I've been waiting. My mind blanked. This was not in the script. This was not the reaction of a cold, aloof Omega. This was something else entirely. Shaking my head to clear the confusion, I pressed on with my original plan, tightening my grip on his neck. Give me your suppressant, I demanded. My body was a furnace, and without an inhibitor, the only other solution was the one I was desperately trying to avoid, the touch of an alpha. Michael's eyes glinted with a dark, knowing light. He smiled, a slow, dangerous curve of his lips. I'm sorry, brother. I don't carry suppressants for Omegas. But how about one for an alpha? Before I could process his words, the world exploded. The gland between my lips, the one I had just bitten, erupted with a sudden, searing heat. An impossibly rich and potent fragrance of ebony and sandalwood detonated in the air around me, a thick, intoxicating cloud that wrapped around me like a physical net. The simmering heat at my own nape instantly became an inferno, a wildfire that consumed my senses. My limbs turned to water, my body went limp and pliant, and just like that, I was thrust into a full-blown, undeniable heat. Something was terribly, fundamentally wrong. Michael was supposed to be an Omega. The book said he was an Omega. No one ever mentioned he was an alpha masquerading as one. The scent of sandalwood and ebony grew stronger, more potent, pulling at something primal within me. I found myself pressing against him, burying my face in the crook of his neck, inhaling his pheromones like a drowning man gasping for air. My blood sang, a wild, restless tune I'd never heard before. So this was the power of an alpha's pheromones. As my thoughts devolved into a hazy fog, strong arms suddenly wrapped around me, pulling me flush against a hard, muscular chest. His long fingers threaded through my hair, gently brushing aside the damp strands clinging to the back of my neck. His fingertips danced over my feverish gland, a feather-light touch that was both a promise and a threat. The involuntary shiver that racked my body seemed to please him immensely. He traced the shape of my gland again and again. A slow, deliberate torture. "Can you smell that, brother?" His voice was a low rumble against my ear. "Your pheromones. They've filled the entire room. They're quite intoxicating." He was a demon, a beautiful, malicious demon. He punctuated his words with tiny, pecking kisses against my gland, each one sending a jolt of electricity through my system. I was trembling uncontrollably, a leaf in a hurricane. "Michael, you're despicable," I hissed, my voice thick with unshed tears. He saw the moisture gathering in my eyes and his expression softened into one of feigned pity. He leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to my trembling eyelashes. "So pitiful," he murmured, "but tell me, besides me, who else is here to help you now?" I stared into his eyes, seeing the mockery swimming in their depths, and something inside me snapped. With a surge of defiance, I grabbed his wrist, wrapped my arms around his neck, and bit down on his gland for real this time, hard. A muffled groan escaped his lips, his entire body tensing beneath me, yet his voice remained maddeningly calm. "Oh, are we angry now?" Just then, a sharp knock echoed from the locked door. Michael's eyes narrowed and that wicked smile returned. "Brother," he whispered conspiratorially, "it seems the alpha you adore is here to see you." In the next instant, he flipped me onto my back, pinning me to the mattress. Before I could react, his teeth sank into my gland. A wave of pleasure and shock so intense it stole my breath washed over me. "What a shame," he breathed against my skin, his voice laced with possessive triumph. "It's me who's marking you. Are you disappointed, brother?" My body was stretched taut as a bowstring. "Shut up," I snarled, mortified and overwhelmed. "You talk too much." His only response was a low laugh as his actions grew more intense, more possessive. Outside the door, Leo's impatient voice called out my name. Hearing no response, he began rattling the doorknob, trying to force his way in. Logically, I knew the door was locked, but the raw vulnerability of being marked made me flinch. A small, frightened whimper escaped my lips. Michael pulled me closer, holding me tight, his words a constant stream of malicious comfort. "Don't tremble so, brother. Does it really feel that good?" After what felt like an eternity, the noises from the hallway ceased. Leo had given up and left. Michael's temporary mark settled over me like a cool balm, finally suppressing the raging fire of my heat. I pushed myself away from him. "Thank you," I muttered, my voice hoarse, and tried to leave. But his arm snaked around my waist, pulling me back into his embrace. "Brother," he murmured against my hair, "an inhibitor is a poor substitute for me." That night, he took me back to his own home, but I was no one's prize. While he was in the shower, I fled. Damned alphas and their pheromonal control. I vowed then and there to treat inhibitors like daily vitamins. I bought them in bulk and checked into a nondescript hotel to ride out the last vestiges of my heat in solitude. A week later, I finally dared to turn my phone back on. It immediately exploded with a flood of notifications. Dozens of missed calls, most of them from Michael, accompanied by a barrage of messages I deleted without reading. I blocked his number for good measure. Then there were the calls from Leo. Of course, I was his lapdog, the one he could summon and dismiss at his whim. As if on cue, my phone rang again, his name flashing on the screen. I answered. His voice was cold, laced with impatience. "Lucas, where the hell have you been?" He didn't wait for an answer, simply barking an address at me and ordering me to be there immediately. When I arrived at the upscale lounge, I paused outside the private room, and through the door, I heard the familiar sound of his friend's mocking laughter. "Leo, you think Lucas will actually show up this time?" one of them asked. "What kind of question is that?" Another jeered. "He's pathetic. The moment Leo snaps his fingers, he comes running with his tail between his legs." A wave of cruel laughter followed. "Seriously, Leo," a third voice chimed in. "Doesn't it get annoying having an Omega cling to you like that all the time?" A cold, dismissive laugh from Leo cut through the air. "He's just a lapdog," he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "You want him? I'll give him to you. He Euros trade nothing to me." Just then, a waiter passed by with a tray of drinks. I calmly took a glass of red wine, kicked the door open with a resounding crack, and strode into the suddenly silent room. Amidst their shocked gasps, I walked directly up to Leo and poured the entire glass of wine over his perfectly styled hair. "Who do you think you are?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "Making decisions for me? Did you really think my family, the Sue family, is just for show?" Leo's face contorted, shifting from shock to a deep, dark fury. "Lucas," he gritted out, "are you insane?" I snatched a drink from the hand of his stunned friend and emptied that one over his head as well. "No, for the first time in a long time, I'm terrifyingly sober." He lunged forward, grabbing my wrist, his face ashen. "Kneel and apologize to me right now," he snarled, "and I might consider forgiving you." "In your dreams," I spat, and with my free hand, I slapped him across the face, the sound echoing in the silent room. "Who gave you the nerve?" His head snapped to the side. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. With a roar of pure, liberating rage, I kicked the low table over, sending glasses and bottles crashing to the floor. I smashed the glass in my hand on the ground at his feet. "Let me make one thing clear," I announced to the terrified audience. "I, Lucas Sue, am not someone to be trifled with. I was blind to have ever wasted my time on you." I jabbed a finger at his stunned friends. "And you, Leo has the Chen family fortune to back him up. What do you have?" "I have a very long memory. If I hear one more inappropriate word about me, be careful. I'll have my father ruin every single one of you." The original Lucas had debased himself so completely for Leo that they had all forgotten his true identity, the beloved and spoiled young master of the powerful Sue family. He could crush them with a single phone call. The realization dawned on their faces, draining them of all color. Without another word, I turned and strode out of the room. A moment later, Leo came chasing after me, a bright red handprint blooming on his cheek. He was about to explode, but I was faster. I spun around and delivered a sharp, vicious kick directly to his crotch. He hadn't expected it, hadn't braced for it, and he took the full force of the blow. He crumpled to the ground, a pathetic, wailing heap. A deep scent of satisfaction washed over me. For absolute scum, the best course of action is to confiscate the tools of their trade. I turned to leave again, but a hand shot out and grabbed my ankle. Leo was on the ground, glaring up at me, his teeth bared in a snarl of pure hatred. I raised an eyebrow, lifting my foot threateningly. "What? You want another one?" Fear flickered in his eyes, but then his gaze shifted, locking onto the back of my neck. His eyes widened in disbelief. "There's a bite mark on your neck," he stammered, his voice dropping to a dangerous low. "Lucas, have you been marked by an alpha?" He scrambled to his feet, grabbing my arm, his eyes bloodshot with a sudden, possessive rage. Who was it?" "None of your business," I snapped, wrenching my arm free and breaking into a run. As I rounded a corner, I was suddenly yanked sideways into a dark service corridor. The door clicked shut behind me, plunging us into near blackness. A scorching hot body pressed against me from behind, and a mouth found the gland on my neck, kissing the sensitive skin. The hot breath against my skin made me shiver. A voice, thick with a strange, aggrieved tone, whispered in my ear, "Do you like him that much? I've been searching for you for 7 whole days. Do you have any idea how pitiful an alpha is when he's lost his omega?" Just then, Leo's furious shout came from the other side of the door. "Lucas, how dare you sneak off with another man? You're dead." The door to the corridor began to push open, and at that exact moment, the teeth bit down on my gland again. "Brother," the voice behind me murmured obsessively, "how about I fill you up with my pheromones?" I trembled, collapsing into his arms. "We're all alphas like this, rabid dogs, biting at the slightest provocation." As the door swung open, a different voice called out to Leo. I heard Leo respond with surprise, "Michael." My eyes flew open. If Michael was outside the door, then who was the alpha currently marking me? Had I been wrong from the very beginning? I twisted my head to see the man holding me. He nuzzled against my neck, sniffing greedily, his entire being radiating an impatient hunger. "Brother, can you release more pheromones for me?" I instantly cranked the pheromone-blocking bracelet on my wrist to its highest setting, pushed his face away, and demanded, "Who are you?" He squinted, a playful smile on his lips. He took my hand, lifted it to his mouth, and bit my fingertip, just hard enough to draw a single drop of blood. His warm tongue darted out, lapping it up as he stared at me with an unnerving possessiveness. A hot flush crept up my neck. I snatched my hand back. He licked his lips, chuckling. "I'm Michael's twin brother. My name is Sebastian." The plot had gone completely off the rails. There was a glitch in the story, a major one. And where was the damn system that was supposed to be guiding me? As my mind reeled, Sebastian pinned me against the door, his leg pressing intimately between mine. His voice was a husky growl. "The pheromones. They seem to be stronger down here." He grabbed my waist, about to lean down. "Brother, open up a little. Let me have a smell." Shame and anger warred within me. I slapped his face and fled. Back in my apartment, even after a long shower, I couldn't shake the phantom feeling of his presence. Damned alphas. Damned pheromones. My phone rang, shattering my angry thoughts. It was Leo. "You've got guts, Lucas," he snarled through gritted teeth. "You even learned how to block me. Come out. I'm downstairs." He hung up. Fool. I'd forgotten he still had a key. A moment later, he was letting himself in, his face a thundercloud. I sighed, getting out of bed and calling building security. I lived in a high-end complex. Uninvited guests weren't allowed. But he was already here. His eyes scanned my apartment, and he sneered when he caught the lingering scent of another alpha's pheromones on me. "I've checked," he said, his arrogance returning. There are no other alphas in your life except me. All of this, it's just to get my attention, isn't it? He was so sure of himself. I'm here to warn you, Lucas. We have an engagement. There's a limit to this foolishness. If you disgrace me and the engagement is cancelled, it will be too late for regrets. He looked at me, confidently waiting for the tears, for the begging, for the desperate apologies he was so used to receiving from the original Lucas. It was why he despised him, because he knew he could get away with anything. I just stared at him, my expression blank, as if I were observing a particularly stupid insect. A full minute passed. The smug smile on his face began to falter. After 3 minutes of utter silence, I walked to the door, opened it, and gestured for him to get out. He was stunned, his mind clearly unable to process my lack of a dramatic scene. His humiliation quickly morphed into rage. He grabbed my wrist. Don't push your luck, Lucas. Admit you were wrong, and I can let this go. His eyes darted to the faded mark on my neck, a flicker of desire in his gaze. You just want my temporary mark, don't you? Kneel and beg me for it. Maybe I'll grant your wish. I slapped him again, hard. Have you been drinking your own piss? Do you need a mirror, or should I provide a puddle for you to see your reflection? He covered his face, his eyes wide with shock. You're really pushing it, Lucas. And then it hit me. An overwhelming wave of alpha pheromones, a crushing pressure designed to bring an omega to their knees. A sharp pain shot up my spine, and I instinctively curled in on myself. It was illegal for an alpha to use pheromones to coerce an omega, but he didn't care. He grabbed my face, his eyes feral. We're engaged. You want me to touch you, don't you? I'll give you exactly what you want. Get away from me. I struggled, cursing him. Stop pretending, Lucas, he grinned, a cruel, evil expression. My pheromones are driving you crazy, aren't they? You're practically in heat. Why else would you be shaking? He pressed me down, his mouth heading for my gland. With all my strength, I threw my head back, smashing my forehead into his nose. There was a sickening crunch, and blood gushed from his nostrils. At that exact moment, the apartment door flew open. A dark figure rushed in and, with a single, powerful kick, sent Leo flying across the room. The top-tier alpha, Leo, was knocked unconscious instantly. Security guards and police officers swarmed in right behind, armed with inhibitors and muzzles, quickly subduing the unconscious alpha on my floor. The disgusting residue of Leo's pheromones still clung to me, making my skin crawl and my head spin. Tears of pain and relief streamed down my face. I saw Sebastian standing there and clung to him, burying my face in his chest, desperate for his clean, familiar scent to wash away the filth. Hug me, I pleaded, tugging at his shirt. The stern line of Sebastian's mouth softened, the corners of his lips twitching upwards. Is a hug all you want? He asked, his voice laced with a suggestive undertone. An officer cleared his throat awkwardly. Come, sirs, we'll need you to come down to the station to give a statement. Please, be mindful of your surroundings. In the back of the police car, I desperately nuzzled Sebastian's neck, trying to find his scent, but I couldn't smell anything. I looked down and saw he'd turned his own blocker bracelet to the maximum setting. You bastard, I accused him. You're teasing me on purpose. I lunged for his neck again, sniffing and licking like a desperate animal. He arched his back, a low groan escaping him, and then he pulled me into a crushing embrace, his breath catching. The officer is still here, he gasped. This isn't appropriate. From the front seat came a chorus of polite, strained coughing. I resorted to biting his finger again, feeling the carning wave of his pheromones wash through me from the taste of his blood. The moment I released him, he pushed his finger back into my mouth, pressing it against my teeth. The police, thankfully, were competent. With surveillance footage as evidence, Leo was detained. After his release, he tried to contact me several times, even sending mutual friends to tell me he wanted to apologize. I refused every time. I made it a point to avoid him completely, cherishing my life and waiting for the mysterious system to finally make an appearance. After that incident, Sebastian moved in. He justified it as being my personal, human-shaped inhibitor. He was everywhere. One afternoon, I hung up the phone with a friend, and he emerged from the bathroom with only a towel slung low on his hips, his upper body bare and glistening with water. He ran a hand through his damp hair, subtly releasing a tantalizing wisp of his pheromones. "Brother," he murmured, "care to try me out?" I still couldn't understand it. When did the main character's love interest gain a twin brother? And why was this brother so relentlessly attached to me? Eventually, I came to a conclusion: it was all for Michael. He was enduring this humiliation, pretending to be my servant, all for the sake of his beloved younger brother. Once I'd convinced myself of this, I treated him accordingly. He mopped, he cooked, he did laundry. He became my unpaid nanny, and to my bewilderment, he seemed to enjoy every moment of it, always with a smile. It wasn't until one night, when I crept out for a glass of water, that I saw the truth. The bathroom door was ajar. Through the crack, I saw him, his brow furrowed in concentration, his muscles tense, the veins on his arms bulging as he pleasured himself. And through his soft, trembling growls, I heard him whisper my name. The man was a pervert, and he was going to ridiculous lengths for his brother's sake. Blushing furiously, I fled back to my room. Sebastian was like a peacock, constantly displaying his magnificent plumage around me. His constant presence and subtle pheromonal seduction were wreaking havoc on my system, threatening to trigger my heat cycle early. That weekend, my father invited me out for a family meal. But when I opened the door to the private dining room, my blood ran cold. Leo was sitting there. I turned to leave, but he was already on his feet, chasing after me, his face a mask of self-reproach. "Lucas, I'm here to apologize. I was wrong that day." My father's stern voice came from behind me. "You're about to be married. Stop acting like a child." My other father, an Omega, came to my side, patting my arm gently. "Just clear the air, dear. Leo came to beg us first thing this morning." He leaned in, whispering, "We know how much you like him. Don't worry, we gave him a stern talking to before you arrived." I opened my mouth to protest, to tell them I didn't love Leo anymore, but then I remembered over a decade of the original Lucas's obsessive, lovesick behavior. They would never believe me. Fine, it was just one meal. Leo dutifully poured me a glass of wine. "Lucas, I truly know I was wrong." I just gave a noncommittal grunt. Halfway through the meal, my father's received a call and had to leave in a hurry, leaving me alone with him. There was no longer any reason to pretend. I stood up to leave, but Leo's lips curved into a chilling smile. "Lucas, do you really think you can go anywhere?" And then I felt it. A familiar, sinister heat surging from my lower abdomen, burning through my limbs like liquid fire. What did you put in my food? Don't you recognize it?" He chuckled, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Isn't this what you had in mind the last time you came to see me? I am just fulfilling your wish." He wanted revenge for my recent coldness, and he wanted to humiliate me. I would never touch Michael, he said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. But my rut is coming. I need an outlet. Considering how much you've loved me all these years, I suppose keeping you as my little lover isn't a bad option. He leaned in, his breath hot against my ear. Once I mark you completely, you'll learn to be obedient again. I tried to stand, but he slammed me back down onto the table. Stop struggling, Lucas. Under the malicious assault of his pheromones, my body betrayed me, plunging me headfirst into heat. Leo, I snarled, my vision blurring, I will kill you. He started dragging me towards the hotel attached to the restaurant. Just then, his phone rang. Michael, Leo frowned, ignoring it. It rang again. With a sigh of irritation, he answered. I couldn't hear the conversation, but his brow furrowed in concern. He roughly handcuffed me to the leg of the bed in the hotel room he'd booked and rushed out. My phone was gone, taken by him. The protagonistometer had inadvertently saved my life, but for how long? I pulled against the cold metal cuffs, but they wouldn't budge. Sweat poured from my body, my vision swam. The tragic end of the original Lucas flashed in my mind. Taking a deep breath, I was about to scream for help when the hotel room door clicked open. Heavy footsteps approached the bed. I looked up and saw Sebastian's face, cold and dark with a barely suppressed fury. Tears of relief streamed down my cheeks. Hurry, I sobbed. Help me unlock these. I struggled, writhing on the bed. He walked closer, cupping my face in his hand, his thumb swiping harshly across the corner of my tear-filled eyes. His own eyes burned with a silent rage. Sebastian, I choked out. Did you hide from me just to let yourself end up like this? He asked, his voice dangerously low. Do you like that idiot so much? His words ignited my own anger. I opened my mouth to curse him out, but his slender fingers pressed against my lips, silencing me. In the end, I could only glare at him, my eyes burning. You want my help? He whispered, his damp fingers stroking my cheek. Beg me. His eyes, full of restraint and fury, roamed over my miserable, exposed state. I glanced down at his lower abdomen, then quickly looked away, my throat suddenly parched. The hypocrite. A desperate, reckless idea took hold. I deliberately messed up my already disheveled clothes, watching his eyes darken with a calculated intensity. I twisted my body, exposing the gland on the back of my neck. Bite me, I dared him, my voice a muffled, damp plea. Mark me if you have the guts. Go on. I've already been marked twice. What's one more time? His scorching body was on mine in an instant. He turned my face towards him, his gaze fierce. Call me husband. A deep blush of embarrassment and defiance stained my cheeks. In your dreams. He laughed, a harsh, angry sound. He slowly scraped his sharp canines against my gland. Will you call me? He asked again. I was shaking so violently it felt like my bones were rattling. I had no choice. Curled up like a frightened quail, I surrendered. Husband, I whispered. The teeth sank in. The world spun away into a vortex of pure sensation. Just as the marking concluded, the hotel room door was kicked open again. Leo stormed in, his face a mask of fury. What on earth did you say to Michael, Lucas? Did you team up with him to play tricks on a Euros? His voice died in his throat. He stared, wide-eyed, at the scene on the bed, at Sebastian holding me, his mind completely breaking. But you're both Omegas. He didn't know about the twin. Sebastian's lips curled into a smirk. He casually released a wave of his dominant alpha pheromones, making Leo stagger back. "My sincerest apologies," Sebastian said smoothly. "I don't know what happened. I seem to have just had a secondary differentiation into an alpha. And what a coincidence to immediately meet an omega who is 100% compatible with me." The expression on Leo's face was a masterpiece of confusion, rage, and despair. Sebastian wrapped me in his overcoat and lifted me into his arms. As we walked past, Leo's face twisted. "You played a trick on me," he hissed, reaching out to grab me. Sebastian didn't even break his stride. He simply kicked out, sending Leo flying once more. He walked over to the groaning alpha, placed his foot directly on his gland, and sneered. "Trash!" He pressed down hard. A pained, horrifying scream tore from Leo's throat, and then he went limp. No way. Did he just destroy the protagonist alpha's gland? This wasn't a glitch. This was a God-tier cheat code. This was the lifeline I'd been searching for. Sebastian suddenly lifted my chin, his eyes searching mine. "Are you feeling sorry for him?" I shook my head so fast I got dizzy, wrapping my arms around his leg and hugging it tightly. "Nonsense. I'm only worried about your foot. Did you hurt it?" He studied my face for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, "Would it be okay for me to mark you completely, brother?" Lost in the sheer joy of my newfound security, I blurted out, Sure, of course." The next second, his teeth were in my gland again. Oh no, I had flirted my way into a permanent bond. The overwhelming pheromones flooding my system erased all rational thought. It wasn't until Sebastian carried me home and locked us in the bedroom that I vaguely realized something was wrong. His susceptible period, the alpha equivalent of a heat, had been triggered, and for a 100% compatible pair, that meant we wouldn't be leaving this room for at least a week. My legs were trembling as I tried to crawl away, but my own body betrayed me, drawn helplessly towards him by the irresistible pull of his pheromones. He had a wicked smile on his face as he whispered in my ear, "Tell me what you want, brother. Otherwise, I won't understand." Enraged by his teasing, I grabbed his collar and kissed him. I don't know how many days passed. After the lifelong marking was complete, I was a boneless puddle on the bed. When I finally regained some strength, Sebastian was clinging to me again. Remembering his various misdeeds over the past week, I kicked him out of the room. But soon, an anxious craving began to build within me, a desperate need for the soothing presence of his pheromones. Damn him. He must have done it on purpose. After a shower, my first priority was to find him. But before I could even leave the bathroom, the door opened and someone who looked exactly like Sebastian, but wearing a different set of pajamas, came running in. His collar was open, revealing a tantalizing mole on his fair chest. He took my hand and placed it on the mole, his face a mask of concern. "Is Big Brother feeling uncomfortable? Let me help Big Brother, okay?" No. Who was this person with that affected, cutesy tone? Before I could protest, he hugged me. At that exact moment, the real Sebastian, wearing an apron and holding a spatula, appeared in the doorway. His face was ashen. He stared at the two of us locked in an embrace, his eyes burning with a furious, dark fire. "Get back to your basement, Michael." An explosive wave of enraged alpha pheromones filled the small space. The man holding me, Michael, just hugged me tighter, groaning pitifully in my ear. "Big Brother, it hurts so much. My gland hurts." He looked up at me with teary eyes. "Alphas are so irrational. They only use pheromones to control us Omegers. It's terrifying. Choose me, big brother. I am an Omeger. I can have children for you. Sebastian, brandishing the spatula, advanced on him. Michael sneered. Don't think you can have him all to yourself. The two of them started wrestling on the floor, a chaotic tangle of limbs and insults. And just as the scene reached peak absurdity, a mechanical voice finally echoed in my head. What on earth have you done, host? Why is the protagonist Alfred disabled? Why has the protagonist Omega fallen in love with you? And why has the system bug manifested as the protagonist Omega's older brother? How would I know? I muttered, my head throbbing. Forgetting the two men fighting on the floor, I rubbed my hungry stomach and walked into the kitchen. It's all over, the system wailed in my ear. If this continues, the world will collapse. Host, you must eliminate the Booger Euros Sebastiana Euros and return to the main protagonist Euros Lear Euros to restore the world line. Otherwise, you will be erased along with this world. I poured a spoonful of porridge halfway to my mouth. The system pressed its advantage. Don't you want to return to your original world, host? Don't you miss your family? Your lover? They are all waiting for you. A sharp, inexplicable ache pierced my heart. Lover? Family? I couldn't remember. I had no memories of my original world at all. Seeing me waver, the system's voice grew more urgent. As long as you eliminate the bug with your own hands, Hostu Euros. Suddenly, its voice was cut off by a loud buzzing sound like static. A ball of flickering blue light materialized in the air in front of me. Host, I've been discovered by the bug, it shrieked. You must eliminate it, or you'll be trapped here forever. Before the system could finish, the two men who had been wrestling were now standing on either side of the ball of light. They each held a strange glass-like device, which they clamped around the light, trapping it. Sebastian slapped the device hard, his face cold. Finally, we tricked you out. I stared at them, stunned. So, you're both transmigrators. And then, Sebastian told me everything. He and I were a couple in our original world. After a car accident, my soul was captured by the system. It lied to me, telling me Sebastian had survived but would soon die of a broken heart. It said the only way to save him was to complete tasks in various worlds. I became its puppet, living out the tragic endings of vicious supporting characters, all in a desperate attempt to get back to him. But Sebastian's soul had followed mine. He was a transmigrator too, and when we finally found each other in another world, I learned the truth. We had died together in that car crash, a crash orchestrated by the system itself. It had no intention of ever letting us go. It was all a lie to maintain its own existence. When it discovered I knew the truth, it erased my memories and turned me into a mindless NPC. I had died miserably in this world countless times before my consciousness finally reawakened, causing the bugs to appear. After countless repeated timelines, we had finally met again. A torrent of forgotten memories flooded my mind. The sourness in my chest was unbearable. It wasn't until a hot tear rolled down my cheek that I realized I was crying. Sebastian moved to comfort me, but Michael pushed him aside. For some reason, his pajamas were now torn, revealing a set of perfectly sculpted abs. He skillfully took my hand and placed it on his stomach, his eyes full of a playful charm. Brother, you've suffered so much. I was stunned. I pointed a shaky finger at Michael. So, who is he? Sebastian looked deeply reluctant to answer. He is a fragment of me. You had created too many bugs, So the system peeled that part of my soul away to create him. What fragment? Michael scoffed, leaning in pitifully. You're the fragment. Brother, I'm your boyfriend. We agreed it was just an act, but he secretly hit me for real. Look at my face. I need a kiss from brother to feel better. It was you who deliberately put your face in my fist. Sebastian roared, pulling him away. Stop doing such disgusting things with my face. Michael looked at me with puppy dog eyes. But brother clearly likes it. I nervously touched my nose. Sebastian shook the glass device containing the frantic system. Once we escape this world, you will disappear and return to my body. Michael just snorted. We'll see who disappears. Later that night, Sebastian snuck into my room and locked the door, just moments before Michael arrived and started knocking. Brother, it's me. Open the door. Sebastian sneered, exposing my poor attempt at pretending to be asleep. You like that type, do you? A pity he's an Omater now. He can't satisfy you. Why are you jealous of yourself? I asked, but before I could say more, his mouth was on mine, silencing me. Soon, the intoxicating pull of his pheromones made me forget everything else. The story was broken, my fate had been rewritten, and now, caught between the two halves of the man I loved, with our manipulative cater trapped in a jar, I finally had a choice to make. Not as a villain, not as a supporting character, but as myself. And for the first time since waking up in this chaotic world, I felt a flicker of hope. So, what do you think they should do with the system now that they've captured it? And in this bizarre love triangle, who are you rooting for, the intense and possessive Sebastian, or the playful and seductive Michael? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this wild ride through love, betrayal, and system glitches, don't forget to hit that like button. And for more stories that break all the rules, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next.